proper code. Yes. Great. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Hydra Working Group meeting. So glad to have you here. As usual, no agenda. We'll just talk about whatever we want. So does anyone
Do you want to just
have
do
anything you want to
updates?
start with?
Do you want to start with let's just start with updates of what's going on, and then maybe if we
Yeah.
get new people, we can maybe do a quick explainer. I'm happy to talk through it, and the rest of us we can talk through like Hydra and use cases and kind of how people can get more involved. It might be a good agenda for today.
It sounds amazing.
Okay.
Thanks, Perry.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, use cases of Hydra. I guess I could start with some updates unless someone else wants to. We are basically, so for those that don't know, I suppose it's fair to say I represent the Hydra team at IOG or IOE, wherever we work. But yeah, and so we kind of hacking along on our roadmap and just supporting various applications that are out and about at the moment. The main thing I'd say we're doing is this incremental commits work. So that's going pretty well. I think it's fair to say the most kind of frustrating roadblock has been around script sizes. So every time we kind of we've been writing the validators for this incremental commit business. And every time we've been doing that, we've been bumping into size issues. We've rewritten some things in Icon, which has been very useful. It's helped a lot. And just recently, I think we've decided to kind of I don't think this will impact people how you spin up the Hydra node, but we've just kind of published the scripts instead of as one, we publish them as 3. That only really impacts us. And it just means that when you run the Hydra node, you'll have a few more command line arguments to specify. But that gets us around some of these script size issues that we've been having. So that's pretty good. That's pretty much one of the main things we've been doing. We've also been trying to do, just for some kind of applications that we're, for some people that we're talking about, we've also been doing some kind of experiments into what it looks like to run Hydra with a custom ledger. So just with adding custom operations and so on, that's something we've been playing around with. And there was one other thing that I've forgotten right now. But does anyone have any questions or comments about that? So kind of our updates are incremental commits, good progress, size issues resolved by Aiken largely. And this kind of custom ledger work. And I suppose the last thing to say that we kind of looking into, but not as urgently as, it's not our highest priority at the moment, but it's still this partial fan business. So we're making some small steps there, but yeah, that's pretty much where we're at.
I think I saw on the roadmap you had a Block Frost work stream. Is that separate from your team?
No, Blockfrost is on hold at the moment a little bit, basically because there's some other priority work that's come up, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll probably pick Blockfrost up again in the new year.
And partial fanouts is pretty closely related to incremental commits, right? Because it's kind of you take some of the same logic, you just open the head and you commit in, or you do you simplify.
No, the partial fanouts quite.
Oh, fan out. Sorry, I'm thinking of opening a head, the simplified open head schematic. Okay, yeah. Okay, and that's with the BLS stuff.
Exactly. It's fairly different. Because basically we got to change all the way we compute these hashes and whatnot. And that also is still an area of kind of active research by one of the people there. So, I mean, literally today, he's like, I found a way to make it way faster and not rely on Rust. So it's like, that's good. So,
Right.
yeah, we're kind of hopeful that that'll be really useful, but it's going to take a little bit of time to come through. Yeah. Yeah. So we've kind of basically been trying to put all our energy into finishing this incremental commits. It's is the main thing.
Cool.
Probably have a look over here. Yeah, what else we've been doing? Yeah. Exactly.
The incremental commits work also includes the decommits, incremental decommit.
That's been done. Yeah. So incremental decommits is already possible and out there. Yeah. Yep. And I don't know if it's a massive interest to this group. One thing we've been trying to do is like lessen a little bit of the mono repo. There's conflicting thoughts, there's like varied thoughts about mono repos, but like we've moved this thing that we call the Hydra Explorer out, or just about to move that out. And we're hoping to make that a little bit more useful soon, because I don't know if anyone has ever checked that, but there's this website, explorer.hydra.family, which in theory shows you all the open heads and how much money's in there. And like, if you have just opened that, because I've just talked about it right now, you'll see it lists nothing. And that's because it doesn't support, it's kind of pinned to the version of Hydra. And because that's kind of compiled against a, let's say an unreleased version of Hydra, like the master version, no one is out there running Hydra heads at that precise version. So we've got like a ticket to make that more useful. In other words, like it shouldn't be limited by Hydra version. So, but that's just a little bit of trivia that the Hydra Explorer is presently offline, it's fair to say, until that's done. Yeah. Sorry, Jonathan, did you have another question about the incremental stuff?
No, that's all. Thanks.
Cool.
Is anyone else working on a Hydra project or wants to give an update? Anything themselves?
Well, this is not an update. I'm not working on any Hydra. I'm looking to integrate Hydra into the projects that we are currently building, which is a platform inside IQ. So if you guys don't mind sharing, relevant information regarding that, how to get a Hydra node running, how to set up a Hydra head, just the documentation from start to finish about how Hydra works, basically what Hydra is, all that. Yeah, that's why I'm here, basically. Yeah.
I can share with you. We've got documentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
We also have the Mesh. Mesh has done some stuff with Hydra. Just don't know if it's live yet, but
okay. Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
It does some stuff.
Really
Let me
awesome
see if I can find that for you. Hydra provider, yeah. I guess starting at the highest level, like what is Hydra? What does it do for your DApp? Essentially allows you to take a subset of the state on the L1, bring it off chain, compute between a set of participants, and then once it could just be you and I, right? And we are playing a game, and we're keeping score instead of always having to publish that on the L1. You and I are just interacting back and forth with each other. And then, you can still enforce, it's isometric, right? So you can still enforce all the logic of the L1 and all your scripts still work. But then we finish the game and I've won, you've won, and, you could then commit a high score or, if you've bet money on something.
The final result, yeah.
Final results. So it's like, it's just, you just don't always have to, you are not limited by global state. And
Okay.
so, and you really, once, for as long as you, in terms of works and rounds where consensus is just you and I agree on every single step back and forth that, hey, okay, I've done X. You say, okay, great, you've done X. So obviously, like liveness and things like that is something that is important because it's based on the participants. So the participants always need to be engaged. So there's some limitations there. So, but again, if you and I are playing a game, it's kind of like my computer needs, in just a game example, like my computer needs to be online even to, like, if I'm playing Call of Duty or something like that, right, to the server and actively engaged. And so there are, but it just means you can do a lot of things without having to worry about everyone else. And so if you have applications that don't require the entire L1, but a group of participants, it's
like
a
auction,
great use
for
case.
example.
Correct.
Live games like keep scores, things like that. Does it come with fees, or is it? Because it seems like the transactions that are being executed are instant, right? So are there fees attached to those, or is it the final state that's been pushed to the main ledger that would have some fees attached to that?
Noon, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know that you can run it with no fees. You can also have fees. You can say, hey, there's some level of fees, but it's just you and I. So we can pay each other, right? So you don't really need to, as long you don't need to. There's a group of like SPOs, 3,000 of them. You need to pay to agree to your transaction and put it on the ledger. So you don't have to worry about that. It gets
sorry, just follow-up question for
Let me just jump in just for 1 second.
Please, Nick, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to see if Sam, you wanted to ask your question. You had your hand raised for a little while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yes. So I'm very new to Hydra, and this sounds really interesting. But I think I have some general questions about Hydra and how it works. So you could go first and continue with your questions, and then if that's all right with you.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Great. So continue with your question, then that's fine. No, we keep in the flow.
Well, Jai, that's you if you had more.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Jai,
I was
go
wondering if it was
Yes.
me. So, sorry. My follow-up question was about infrastructure. We can do call an instance of or you basically use an instance remotely, a Hydra node instance, right, via Blockfrost, and have that integrated with whatever platform, right? We don't necessarily have to
present.
Say again.
At present, you have to run the Hydra node alongside a Cardano node.
Oh, I see. You have to run alongside a Cardano node. Okay, understood. But is that does Blockfrost offer that have those kind of services? To use a Hydra head that's currently running in that infrastructure.
It's a good question. Kind of as we mentioned earlier, like our plan, the Hydra team, is to add an option to like connect a Blockfrost account, to use a Blockfrost account basically instead of a local Cardano node. But as I was kind of saying, that's on hold at the present moment. So we're not working on that just a minute. But it's nice to know that maybe more people would want it. But I don't think Blockfrost themselves.
Okay.
Like the whole joy is to kind of open a Hydra node with your peers, and so that's like. But I don't know. Maybe you could ask them. Maybe that's something that they'd want to do.
Do I have to run my own instance of a node, or is there any?
Yes.
Okay, I have to run and manage my instance of node, say on AWS or something.
Yeah.
All right.
It presently needs to connect to a Cardano node socket.
I see. Right. Understood. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all, Sam.
Yes, thank you. So I'm very new to Hydra, and I wonder, like, can I make a game on Hydra with like state tracking, like the state of each player tracked on a Hydra head? Is that possible?
Absolutely. I think the easiest way to conceive of it is just like anything you can do on the Cardano ledger, you can do on Hydra. It's exactly the same thing.
Yes.
So the answer is yes.
But it would be way faster, like fast enough to like
Absolutely.
have a first-person shooter.
Indeed, we have a first-person shooter.
Really?
Doom. Yeah,
You are running Doom on the Cardano blockchain.
yeah.
Oh,
I'll send you.
Or it's technically running it not on the Cardano blockchain. You're running it.
On a Hydra node, but it's linked, right? Yes.
Yeah, correct. Right. You're just off chain, but everything maps, and so
But I hope there would be an instance, because it seems like the Hydra environment is isolated. Yeah, so there isn't any way multiple Hydra heads can interact.
Mhm.
Right? Is there some solution to have cross head communication of some sort, where multiple Hydra heads can have I think if something like that works, there'll be much more scalable and much more broader applications to that, into facilitating some games or some application of that that would require that sort of application.
Yes. So you could play faster, like around the globe with different people.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yes. Oh, all right. But is this already on mainnet, Hydra?
Hydra, you can run it on mainnet. We limit the amount of ADA you can put in, just because at present we haven't released what we're willing to call a version 1.
Yes.
But like, we're pretty comfortable with it. This is in part, for context, in part of the goal of the early meetings of the working group, but to establish what version 1 would even mean for the Hydra community. But like, to answer your question concretely, yeah, you can run it on mainnet. That's completely fine. There's a limit of the amount of ADA we'll let you bring in. Just
of
for
course, you don't want a lawsuit.
Yeah. But aside from that, yeah, it's maybe I'll send a page on our documentation, because we kind of maintain, for the time being, a list of so-called known issues.
Mhm.
One of the known issues is that our documentation search doesn't work, which is annoying. So I'll try and send that to you when I can find it. Here you go.
Oh yes, that would be great. I am the little bird on Discord. Yeah, you can probably find me.
There you go. Now I've sent it now.
But let's say I am making a chess game on Hydra. Like, do I have to approve a transaction with a Lace wallet, for example, for every move that I place on the board?
Do you have to? Can you say that again? You can choose. You can write the contract however you want.
Okay, but because it would be a bit annoying, like if you're playing chess and you have like 1 minute left to constantly approve a transaction. So you could turn it off for smaller operations.
Yeah, like here's maybe another thing that's of interest to you. I think they built this to run on Hydra. I wasn't around when they did this, but I just sent through this kind of, someone made this mastermind game which runs entirely on chain, I think in part in the L2. And in order to do that, they had to increase the amount of computation time allowed through the protocol parameters, if that's kind of what you're asking. Like, the bottom line is you can have a game arbitrarily complex run in your Hydra head because very simplistically you set the rules.
Yes, exactly. But like normally, if I like interacted with a deck on a DEX, for example, and I would like swap two different assets, I have to approve every transaction with my wallet. But do I
Right.
also have to do that with a Hydra head? Because if I would like play Doom, for example, that would be really annoying.
That's true. Every time you push forward, it pops up a little alert in your
Yes.
browser. Would you like to confirm that you have taken one step forward?
Exactly.
I'm gonna
So
say
you can
no.
turn it off.
No, yeah. Basically, it's worth noting that like you have a so-called Hydra head, and then you have Hydra nodes, and by participating in a Hydra head as a Hydra node, kind of your agreement is that you will just sign anything that is
Yes.
valid ultimately. So that's kind of the way you proceed.
Yes.
So your Hydra node is the one that does the signing for you, and that ultimately happens automatically, supposing it's like happy with the, whatever. Does that make sense?
Cool.
Perry, you want to elaborate?
I was going to say,
it makes sense.
I was just going to say so quickly, like really what you're signing in a Hydra, and I'm not a developer, but somewhat technically adjacent, is that you're really signing a state, right? In the progression of state. So, right, you're saying, hey, I move forward, I valid, especially a group, right? You can run actually applicant. This is actually one of the things that is, I think, underrated about Hydra. There's nothing saying that I myself couldn't play, right? Doom, you could just play a game by yourself, right? In a Hydra head. Like it's almost like a mini server you turn on the internet, right? And you can play and do all your things and then post back, right? You can also, in that state, the state enforces that you haven't cheated or anything like that, and then post it back. So because you're just accepting your state. You're essentially just signing off on the state as it progresses as you move through in all your transactions. So it's generally the big thing you're approving. There's actually a Hydra chess game that was created early on as a spike, I believe, by Arnaud. So I just posted it in the other year. Nice. So right, and you can do games, and so there are a couple of ways. Like for example, you can even run ZK. He put in there like that ZK mastermind, so you can, because as you can imagine, right, if I'm playing a game of poker and I'm losing, and then I just stop, I stop the state or I stop accepting the state. The nice thing is that state can always be taken back to the L1, and essentially the most recent state you can then say, okay, well, hey, I at least had this much money at this point. So there's an optimistic component to it that you can take that state and always go back to L1 when there are disagreements on the L2. And I mean, right, state channels, roll-ups, they are all, in my mind, they all operate they're kind of the same, but just they operate a little bit differently. Like, right, roll-ups just posting the state on L1 at whatever cadence you want it to, versus, and you have one, you're always on the, I won't jump that far, but right, for just state channels, you and I are just doing consensus back and forth. But we still can go back to L1 to, for fraud. You could call it fraud or whatever else. So there is that.
Yes. So let's say I'm playing a game and I notice that I lose in a rage crit and I pull out my internet cable. You can always go back to layer 1 and get the money. So it is
or restart it, right? For example, say I lost I lost my internet connection, right? I'm no longer, my liveness is gone. The game can't progress. Well, okay. Well, the last state I have, we all have, we can go back. We can restart the Hydra head from that point too, right? So loss of liveness doesn't always insinuate someone being malicious in that sense.
Yes. All right. But let's say I want to make a company with a chess game. Do I have to run my own Hydra head, or can I pay someone else's Hydra head to run for me with Ada or something like that?
I wanted to tell you about solution that we use within Hydra auctions, and there we have a notion of delegates, and basically delegates are just some parties that are willing to provide their computational resources to run Hydra nodes for Hydra heads. And moreover, we have a small SDK. I'm going to post to the link in the call chat for developing such an applications. Basically, this is some core parts of our Hydra auction project. And I think in the case you want to run a platform for chess based on Hydra, probably those delegates might be a good solution, because in that case you can rely on them, because they can have some reputation scoring and something like that. So probably you can eliminate this issue when someone is not willing anymore to participate in the consensus and just aborts the game, right? And at the same time, you offload the need of running Hydra nodes from participants, right? So basically, in the auction use case, the auctioneer can just pick up a delegate group and just use them by paying a small fee to them.
Exactly.
There are a couple different topologies that you can use, right? Someone can manage their own head, or sorry, run their own head. There's just Ilya was saying, I might have mispronounced that, but you can delegate. So right, you can delegate your snapshot that someone there's a entity that you trust that is signing the state for you as it moves forward, but they don't own your spending keys, so they can't spend it. But that doesn't mean they obviously, if all the participants inside are colluding, they could potentially steal your money. But that's a trade-off. There's also a concept of like a managed head, and some of these things were Noon can speak to, but like are in the roadmap. Like a managed head is like almost like you spin up something on AWS on demand, right? And you still are doing the signing, but you don't actually have to run the infrastructure. I think that's some of the question. The managed head is we're not at that point just yet, but the delegated, there's some work around that. But that is the point where you could just like, hey, anyone could spin up a head for you and run that, operate the head, but they don't control what happens inside the head, right?
Exactly. So just like with a Cardano stake pool, like I can submit transactions to it, but they do not own my money.
Own your money, or even can move state. They're just literally a server for act as if they're a server for you.
Okay. So, but I would like, I think like I want to, someone wants money. I think if I build a chess game and I would use someone else's Hydra head to compute calculate the state of the board. Yeah, I would just send money to that Hydra head, right? I think
you can pay someone to do that.
Okay.
For you.
And is that expensive? Like if you have 300 transactions per game, how expensive would that be?
I mean, you just mean like in kind of the computation power to like run the Hydra node, like it's very, very inexpensive, right? The Hydra node is like a pretty small program. It's not very expensive.
Yes.
So I think it's just a small little Haskell program. So
Well,
running it, the real issue is the Cardano node, I guess.
Yeah, I think the one piece maybe to add there is, right, there's like paying for them to host it as if it's a server. So that's their electricity and like actual server costs or whatever they want to charge. What happens inside the Hydra head, you can again set fees if you wanted to, because you had some sort of whatever, but right, if you and I are just agreeing back and forth, who are we paying?
Yeah.
So you don't need to really, the reason you pay fees on any L1 is because you need to convince the network to do all this work to do consensus for you, versus just you and I need to agree on consensus.
Exactly. Okay.
So you can set that to whatever you want, I believe, noon. Or
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, the fees, yeah.
Wow, this is really cool. It really helps me. It really helps me a lot that I can just talk to the team.
Yeah. Jai?
Yeah, thanks, guys. This were actually the responses I was looking for. The delegate response actually answered the question I had earlier. So my understanding, correct, is to run these transactions on layer one, because for them to be finalized and executed, you need a validator to do that. Yeah. So and this is not the case in Hydra. So so there are practically no fees as transactions are being executed in a Hydra head, correct? Except you have like you said, the option to do that on your own. Is this understanding of my understanding correct? Is it accurate?
You are your own validator, essentially, is the best way
I
to put
see.
it. Like everyone in there validates as it moves along. So right, just the group that you're with is your consensus set.
I see. Okay. Okay.
So, and hence, right, you can pay yourself to all like sign the snapshots, but you're not. You're
Can a single Hydra node be used for multiple Hydra heads? Does that work?
No. And I mean, no. I don't know.
well.
I don't think
It's
so.
well, hold on.
I
It's
don't think
so
that would
like
work.
quickly. It is on the roadmap. That is possible to say you have one node running multiple heads, right? That are all like separate instances, but one node. But that's not any. We're not near that. It's but there
You
is
mean
one.
with like the inter-Hydra
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's just. Well, I think he's just saying, can I have one Hydra node running with multiple Hydra heads, even if the Hydra heads don't interact with each other? So you
Yeah,
can have like
currently-
10 people running 10 Hydra heads for 10 people playing a game or 20 people. Go ahead.
Yes, sort of. Yeah. I think that would facilitate inter-Hydra head interaction. But there's also the question of resource management and latency and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say like one Hydra node certainly at present can't participate in multiple Hydra heads. I think
I see.
the way to solve that is with this kind of broad inter-Hydra head intercompatibility kind of work that, as Perry says, is on our roadmap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen quickly because this is probably helpful and I'll share it. But if you can everyone see this?
Yes. Lovely.
So there's a couple different typologies that just maybe like you have this basic Hydra head, right? And you have the node, right? That's like the server running it. You have a head in there and you have Hydra client. And everyone's always connected to Cardano node. This is the delegated head is more of where these are like users, the clients. You have one Hydra head and they're kind of interacting from outside and they don't have to move state long. And so I won't go through all of this, but there's some details of how they work. There's also this managed where, right, someone becomes like, essentially, it's like Hydra as a service running the Hydra nodes for you, but you can run Hydra heads. The big thing that like some of these show is that interconnectedness that we were talking about. That is an area of research that we have some ideas on. It's just, and I know there's already a Catalyst presentation or a Catalyst work. There's a whole paper about how to do some really cool type of cross node communication or cross head communication. But that's we're still working towards just getting really like the V1. So, but I'll put this in the link.
Yeah, awesome. I think if we can get that, if we can get inter-Hydra head interaction, that would be very useful and practical to projects like metaverses and whatnot, right? Where a lot of that stuff would be required. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna put this in the chat. I will say that this, and I'm not a developer, so I can't make this myself. But I've always thought a really cool Hydra use case that doesn't even require like all the intra Hydra head stuff. It's just to build an arcade where I could go and go to, you have a front end where I could go choose my game, and I go pick my game. Maybe I have a set of just like gold token, like, hey, I have my token, right? Like I've bought some tokens that are just like, the equivalent of my game tokens, or you could do ADA, however you want to do it. I could click and I could go play Doom, right? And I then could compete, or I'm playing a level, and ultimately whatever I do goes back to a high, like to complete it on the L2, goes back to L1, and just my score, right? My high score gets there. So you could just build essentially on chain is just tracking the highest scores out there. And you could just say, okay, well, the front end, I could choose any game, and you could keep adding games. You could have people create their own games and add them in. And so the author of those game or creator could get a small fee to play or something like that. And so you could kind of make it open so anyone could create it, but create the front end for an arcade. Because there are plenty of, I think, like older games, like Doom is one of them, but you have like Space Invaders or like all these weird games where like, and you could just, there's a lot of interesting things you could do. You could even bring in people like abstract a Solana user into just playing an arcade and they wouldn't know it. And right, there's a lot of interesting things, right? It's just like an arcade online that could never be turned off. It's kind of a cool way to think of it. It's like I could run it even on my. Obviously, there's other things that could be done. If I could run, once you build all these extra things like managed Hydra nodes or Hydra heads, and that would make it easier, but you can kind of build an arcade. So I've always thought this would be a cool just first application, because you're just worried about high scores on chain, and they could be still single player games that do exist, and just that's a simple one. And just people play it, and like you get people out there posting online, and hey, I beat this. Who got this? We're the top. So
This sounds so cool, really. Such a cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really.
So I can't develop it myself, but I'll throw it out the ether.
I think
I'm more on the growth.
I could actually see other applications outside gaming. In other fields.
Yeah.
Could I make a messenger like WhatsApp on Hydra?
Sure. Chat. You could
wow.
do a chat between two people.
This is so cool.
In the chat.
This is so cool.
It's just like, right? The group, it's just, you just don't need to worry about the L1. But you can.
And Google Meets, you can build that also on Hydra. Man,
Maybe I don't know what that was, but you can.
Man, that's crazy. The issue I have there is basically one Hydra head is a single point of failure. Based on how I understand it. So if something is wrong, say server goes down and whatnot, the entire platform on top of which that Hydra is built on is no longer live at that point in time. That's
it's a good point. We've in the past, I think recently, a question has come up about whether it's necessary to have all the participants always sign all the snapshots, or whether you could have some redundancy there and kind of like allow, maybe just a user configured, or maybe a simple majority or something. I think this is it's certainly something that we've got on our mind to think about. We'll probably take that question to the researchers at some point, and see what they make of it. But yeah, I hear you about that. It's also why one of kind of the things that we're going to try and look at next year, and maybe towards the end of this one, is basically I posted before that list of known issues, and so this partial fan out thing is a way of trying to address some of those, so that if people do put money in, you know, we can gain a lot of confidence that, like, okay, like, even if people do go offline or someone, you know, stops signing or something, there's still a way to get that money back by just closing the head down. So yeah, something we think about.
But another way to think about it too is, right, if you're thinking in a chat application, you take, okay, my server has died, my Hydra node went offline, right? I could take whatever the most recent, I guess you still need to have the data, so I think it's a little complicated, but like, right, you still could maybe potentially restart. You could at least restart the chat somewhere else. Now, I guess, like, what would you do with the data? That'd be a little bit
Well, we have,
more complicated.
I was just going to
It'd be
ask the same
interesting.
question. Yeah,
It'd be interesting.
I was just going to ask. Yeah, that would be interesting. You know, basically, if you could have like a handover to another existing instance of a Hydra node if something goes wrong somewhere. I don't know.
yeah, it's something we've also thought about. Is that's also on our list somewhere, which is basically like, if everyone agrees, if a head has been closed, can we just reopen it? You know, kind of keep all that state and just reopen it between a bunch of people that all are happy to do that. Again, that's something that is kind of on our list of things to think about. I can
One
link it
interesting way
behind
to
it.
do. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just mumbling to myself. Sorry, Perry.
One interesting way to do it, in my mind, and again, always say my ideas, and I'm not a developer, but just my thoughts are that, right, you could at least have the snapshot be a validation of the data. So, right, I could hold my chat history locally. Each user has chat history. And so say I went offline and I wanted to restart a chat with someone, I could reopen a Hydra head with my state. That state validates the data that I hold as a user. Here's my chat history. And then it repopulates the chat, right? Or both people say, hey, yeah, no one has gone through and like changed my words or things like that, right? The data is valid, it maps, and restart chat. It's almost like, hey, I lost the internet connection. I moved to another server, new Hydra, open, chat history added, right? But a user, maybe they would hold some of their own like chat data, and you're just validating it. That, hey, the whole point when you reopen it with the snapshots is to validate that this information the data is correct. Like a ZK now. I don't know the ZK. I won't throw out words. I don't. I know some things again, but that's an interesting way to potentially handle it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, if I was just thinking, like, in the scaling team where we live, there's this other thing called Mithril, which is to do with like signing state or whatever. And it's like, maybe you could run Mithril on Hydra. I don't know. The question. I need to write that down. Mithril on Hydra. Yes, yeah. Tudor.
Hey, Nun. So this part about when one of the Hydra nodes goes down, it's kind of on our mind as well. If you want to have a system recording stuff or managing some accounts or something in Hydra for a real life use case, you can't have the system shutting down because of one actor. Like, this is out of the question. So we're thinking about this. We're still working on the incipient stage of the project with the micropayments app. But this would be the next stage. We'll be looking into it quite soon. So maybe we can have a meeting, and you could maybe tell us some limitations and so on, and then our teams can jump on, maybe help each other do this faster. Because without it, maybe there is, you're smart guys, but I don't see any real world utility to use this. Closing down is a poker game. It would be fine, but if you want continuance of a service, it can never close down, and it can never stop because of one actor shut down his computer or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, like, one thing I can say is certainly it's the case that like people can go temporarily offline, right? Like participants in the head can go offline, then they can come back, and everything's okay. And I think it's not there. I think there might be like a time limit at the moment. I don't know, Franco, if you're on this call, but one thing we looked into a while ago was improving our kind of networking stack so that people could go offline for much, much longer, for example, and the whole thing wouldn't break down. So that is a chunk of work, Tudor, that we've like, there's even kind of pretty well specified that just needs to be done in the Hydra code base, that we could think about, doing like it's on our, we definitely want to do that soon. So from that perspective, if you're thinking of just people who are going to go offline but might come back, then that's fine. But if it's the idea of like, well, what if I just always only want just more than 50% of people to sign the snapshots? That's something we're probably just going to have to talk to the researchers about and make sure that, like, well, if we do that, we understand the kind of safety issues with doing that. So that's two thoughts I can offer there.
Yeah, the way I imagine this is that in the system that I'm building and planning to use, I would only allow and incentivize particular people chosen by the community or in different ways, so we can trust them. While we would have a few, at least one good actor, then the other ones can't do bad, or maybe in this direction.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, we're also in the Intersect working group of Hydra, right? Intersect is supposed to be able to put more resources in the future into this. So this might be one of the key elements that actually makes Hydra usable for real stuff.
Actually, that's a question.
Yeah, cool.
What is this different than the Intersect? I think this is the Intersect group that we're meeting right now. Or it's different.
I mean, you don't hold the resources to bring 5-10 researchers, or I don't know how this works. I'm not very technical. To put them full time on solving this problem.
Funding wise, yes, right. I know that Trim and the team have been working internally on that type of stuff, but I think in general this is the Intersect working group, and the proposals have gone out for it. I don't know if I'm incorrect.
Proposals gone to the Treasury or something?
For budget, yeah, there's budget requests for Hydra for next year, noon, correct? Yeah.
I believe so.
Noon needs a salary, so like.
Otherwise, I'm hanging up right now. No, we put out. We did that. I think it only happened yesterday, but like we definitely put out a slide requesting more people to keep doing Hydra stuff. So that goes out to the EREP community or something. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've put here a tweet that I just finalized now. It's an update on our Hydra NFC micropayments app. It's an update mostly written from TXPipe, who are pretty much finalizing the scope of their work in the app. It's a very long format tweet, but maybe you guys like this kind of technical stuff. There's a lot of information there, and you can see our evolution developments on the project.
That's great. Thank you.
In-call messages.
Cool. Thanks for that. Jai, I think you had a question.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask briefly if this was more of a working group or a special interest group, and we had conversations around like, do we have documented previous sessions on the knowledge base? So like the rest of the community, follows up on well, the conversations currently going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can say about this meeting that you are presently in is the Hydra working group meeting. It's the only one of its kind, I suppose. Like, it's the only place that the community gets together and kind of chats Hydra. The Hydra team that me, myself, and a few others are part of, we have other kind of places we give updates and reports. All of those are actually public, so you'll find those in various places. For example, I'm just thinking, like, we occasionally, well, in theory, every month we have a monthly meeting where we do like demos and talk about what we've been working on. Maybe I can, at least in the notes of this meeting, I can post a link to where that kind of gets advertised. But probably if you're here now, it will get advertised in the same place that you heard about this meeting from. So Trim is kind of taking care of advertising those meetings. Hopefully that answers your question or comment, Jai.
Yes,
And
yes.
you've got your hand raised as well.
Yeah, that answers the question. But do you have a Discord? How do I reach out to the or directly interact with the Hydra team? The rest of the community. How do they interact with the Hydra team?
We do have a Discord. People are in it.
Yeah, I think we can break it down into two things, right? We have this working group here where we're really defining what the roadmap development roadmap is going to be. So, what features do developers need? How do we build that so Hydra is useful? It's not great to build just a product that no one uses. And then, so that's this working group. I think there isn't. So, right, that's one piece. There is within the IOG Discord just a general Hydra channel that I think we're more developer like. And you might be calling out a good thing that, like, right, we have like there's a working group of like direction, but then hey, it's just a group where developers could be talking to each other and learning like design patterns of Hydra and like having questions and how to use it. And so that might be an interesting kind of expansion, or like, right, so you can start saying, hey, how does this work, how do we do it, like, I'm new, I'm interested in learning. I don't know where people's thoughts are there. Ask Hydra in that channel is generally where like development, but we could
I see. Okay.
But both are really important, right? We obviously want to hear also your questions because it kind of tells us, hey, what are you thinking, your use cases, what do you want to build, so we can, that will also direct the roadmap from a like developer UX standpoint.
Thanks. That's all.
Is Sebastian here? Are there
Sebastian's not going
developers
to be
from
here for a while.
the Hydra team attending these calls?
Yes, myself, I'm arguably a developer on the Hydra team. And
I didn't know. I
think
that maybe you're a BD, business development or something.
Oh yeah, look at me! I'm doing heaps of business development right now. I'm gonna hang up my keyboard just to be there. I think Franco is also in this call. Yeah, he is. You got two Hydra developers here right now.
What are your most active methods of communication with technical communication?
Great question. Great, you got us. It's I suppose it's Discord. I'll be frank. I find it hard to stay up to date with all the Discords. Personally speaking, I find it very hard to be in all those Discords. I'm not sure. I follow one or two. So yeah, but there are other people in the Hydra team that are reading Franco, do
bring
you
this
feel
up
like
'cause
making any Discord comments?
Right. I bring this up because it might be helpful to just have a Hydra Discord, right? Where it's
Yeah,
not an
exactly.
IoT
Yeah.
Discord, just a Hydra Discord with only
Mhm.
Hydra and the Hydra team there. And then you guys don't need to hop around anywhere. And then, that can be for technical discussions, because discussions on GitHub is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have experimented with GitHub discussions. I think it's fair to say those have died. Franco, is the Cardano scaling Discord open? Is that a public Discord?
Yeah, actually, I agree with Philip. I think that's a good way to have a proper structure with engaging with the rest of the Hydra developer community, and say have Intersect be like a link to that a space. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. What I'm just trying to understand is we definitely have our own Discord, and I think it's actually public, but I don't know where we've listed it. I wonder if it's literally on our website. But I'll take it as a note. It's a really good note. So thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah. Hey, Philip. Hi. How you doing, sir? I've been trying to reach out to you for a while. Sent you a message on LinkedIn, and we're trying to get a response.
Yeah, sorry, man. I've seen the stuff. I've just been super swamped. I have meetings
Okay.
from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. But yeah, I'll get back to you, man. I'll try to find a time, probably next week, to talk.
Okay, sure, no problem. I got the hold of Jonathan today. Fortunately, going to have a conversation with him as well. Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome, great. Yep.
So I think
it occurs to me that we're out of time.
Yeah. So I think the one thing I'll put on for we talked about this before, and I obviously was still dealing with my back, and that injury has put me slower. We had talked about maybe some sort of Hydra Twitter just to bring everything together. But I think to the point of there's two things here. There's obviously this meeting where we're giving feedback and kind of direction of where we should be going, but then more of a developer focused, how to use it, kind of collaboration and what that looks like, and kind of thinking how to structure this and make sure there's one place, or make it easier, maybe not one place, but easier for people to find what they're looking for. And so it's a good piece of feedback, Phil, and Jai and Sam. So we should think through that. I can Noon. You can grab your keyboard that you just hung up, put it back down, and I will back to the mines. And I can think through some of those ideas. Do we know when Sebastian gets back? I'm sure in Europe, paternity leaves 6 months. So,
yeah, no. Unfortunately not. No, he'll be back next. I mean, it is worth saying, he's coming back to IOG, but he's not coming back to Hydra in the exact same capacity. So he'll come back. He'll be around. He'll be supporting, but I don't think he'll be back full time on Hydra. But you can expect him. You can expect he will never let go of Hydra. Of that, I am 100% certain.
Baby.
So you will see him around at the start of the start of next year.
Yeah, we could also potentially pull Trim in, as a product manager for Hydra, if that's still his responsibility. Kind of
Totally, yeah.
With him.
Trim should definitely
Make the product manager do something.
He should be here.
I know he's been busy, so
he's working hard. But he typically attends these meetings.
Okay, I'll just give him shit. I missed anyways. Okay, so this is good. So I got everyone here. So I have attendance for everyone.
Amazing, thanks, Perry.
I'll write up notes. If you send me over this link, I can get it up. You can stop the recording. But
yes,
we're good. Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for showing up. Great chat. Very enjoyable.
Thanks, guys.
I really enjoyed it.
Talk to you later.
Catch you later.